The UDUA, a planned development united, installed their neighborhood nodes throughout the entirety of a land. Their reach was unmatched.
Okay, this is the UDUA meeting link that we have set up, and it's recording now. We'll see who joins.
Stuff in San Francisco and New York and stuff, but like Frank Lloyd Wright, and I mean, just who's one of my favorite architects, most of his most famous buildings are all within the area of Chicago.
Yeah.
And so there's that kind of thing. Firehouses, there's a whole firehouse tour you can do of Chicago. They've got some of the most historic firehouses in the United States that are still standing. A few of them still functioning as firehouses. Most big cities have bulldozed them. And so I thought I posted it in the UDUA group here a while back, but I can post another one. There's a couple sites that I've used to kind of look at Chicago and get an idea of what is going to be of value there. The reality is that I expect Chicago to crash. I mean, I'm gonna be quite frankly. Every major launch we've had so far has, and to give you an idea, half of Chicago is 5 times as big as all of San Francisco.
Yeah.
So they have never done a release even remotely close to this size, not once. And I think that's part of the reason for the vanilla mode, because it makes it a little bit easier. People will be spread out a little bit more. But that said, Chicago's going to be a lot of fun, I think. I mean, there's a lot of good there. I'm probably not going to dive in that heavy into Chicago. I wanted to, but money's just not here. And so what I'm trying to do right now is basically pay everybody I can for the properties I've said I'm going to buy, so that everybody I know has as much money to go in there as possible. I know I've done temp swaps with 7 people now. There's about 4 million UPICs in the hands of UDUA people right now from the temp swaps. And I've got a list of more people that want to do them yet. So we'll keep rolling those out as well. But the other side of it is too, I don't know if you guys did any of the launch for like San Francisco or any of the tier 1 cities. I mean, they are more expensive, right? So their base price is far higher than Bakersfield, or even what we were seeing in Fresno for the collection properties.
Yeah.
And so you're gonna spend more money per property there. The other side too is the neighborhoods there are much larger, have more properties in them than what we've seen so far. So, for instance, so the guys from LIU or Little Italy, they're going after Little Italy in Chicago. And I believe that's around 8,000 properties.
Okay, yeah.
So I think the biggest, and guys like Ben and others would be way better at these numbers, because I don't have any way to look at them in front of me right now. But the biggest node we currently have within the UDU, I believe, is right around 2,000 properties. So, I mean, we're going after Little Italy, which is 5,986, I believe. I don't know. I got to go back and look. I was thinking it was 8,000, but I'm pretty sure it's not. I think it's actually 5,900. Either way, it's a lot more than what we've done before. So, all that to say, I think it's going to take a little while for it to get minted out, for Chicago to get minted out.
Yeah.
The 60 minutes thing coming, I don't know if that's tonight or tomorrow night. I mean, we had thousands of new members join after the one in Australia. I'm expecting to be even more when this one's done.
Yeah.
I thought that was June 13th.
What's that?
I thought that was June 13th. That
Is it June 13th now? I've been asking.
think that
Somebody was saying they thought it was tonight, but then because 60 Minutes is what it's either Wednesday or Thursday. I really don't know, but
Yeah.
if
I think
that's
that
good
tonight-
for us. Then if it's later, then that gives us time to get in there and get landed.
Yeah, I think that tonight in like 3 or 4 hours they will release the other 50% of the terminals. So I think that will be tonight, and then after that, I think for me it is tomorrow at 6 o'clock. It's now 12 o'clock, so in the evening, and it will be 6 o'clock in the evening. Then there will be the release of the stress test kind of thing. So we still have some time left, though. Yeah, I think
and the
that's
stress
still,
test will. I mean, just all I'm saying is go in there. I think everybody should be there for the stress test because it's really good for the system.
Mint
That
what
being
you
said,
can.
don't get your hopes up too high.
Yeah.
And I mean, if you guys are wanting advice on where to go, I mean, I think there's quite a few guys who've got a good idea about Chicago who can point in some good directions. And like I said, I mean, it's hard to know for sure, but I also know that this, you know, the initial release, and again, we've had so much stuff going on with family. I really haven't had time to read through everything and see where everybody's at, but it's going to be a little bit hard. From what I understand, just reading something a minute ago, they're going to release one property in Chicago. Is this true? And then everybody can send there and float from there.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, that will be the that will be the giveaway action, right? So you have to buy, sell, or mint. Yeah, and then that person will have the first property, and then everyone can send to it.
Whoever gets that one's going to do really well.
Yeah, I hope that they don't set the maximum. You know, just be a little bit social.
Yeah. So that being said, I mean, you're not going to, initially it's going to be really hard because everybody's going to kind of be in the same spot, right? I mean, everybody's just floating around the airport right now. Everybody's going to be in the same spot, floating out and then going. I mean, I've got a few addresses I want to get. There's a couple Frank Lloyd Wright houses or buildings there I really want to get. There's a restaurant that I love eating at there that I want to get, but I'm not, if I don't get any of those things, it's not going to hurt my feelings. My primary goal really is going to be to try to nail down the UDUA or the UDU node and the LIU node and kind of help point people in good directions, I guess. But, and then also Screw is going after Printers Row, which is an amazing section of properties, but they're huge. And so they're going to be expensive. He has said that he will try to help front load people UPX if they'll commit to going down there to try to mint for him to try and grab that neighborhood. I don't know how much he'll front load, but I can't imagine those properties are going to be inexpensive by any means. Again, because it's vanilla mode, the good thing is we don't have multipliers for collections on any of this stuff. But also keep that in mind too, like in Manhattan, I think Ben talked a bit about this. The collection properties that are minted prior to the reveal of the collection properties won't have a multiplier assigned to the mint value, right? So their dividends later will be lower.
Yeah. So when you
they're
buy
still
from the
worth
second
it. They still
market,
have
you
a
should be
value.
careful.
Say again?
So when you buy from the second market later in the game, you should really be careful.
Yeah, you just got to watch what you're doing. And then, I mean, like in Manhattan, there was still a bunch of collection properties left over that hadn't been minted by the time they released the collection properties. All of those then had the multiplier applied to them. They were massively more expensive. But like Financial District, Ben was saying, there's properties he was getting down there for a couple $100,000, UPX. And then when the multiplier was applied, it was like 4 million a property. So, you got to kind of debate on that. If you can get them, but you got to kind of remember what's going to happen in that regard. Again, I mean, I like Chicago a lot. I wanted to have about $2,000 to spend there, and I just don't have it. So,
can you guys? I'm driving, and I had to get something. Can you talk about what you were saying before about how they're minting one property and then?
So they're going to do a giveaway of one property, right in Chicago somewhere. Nobody knows where at this point, from what I understand. Whoever wins that giveaway gets it. mints that property, and then everybody who's in the airport sends to that property, and then we'll drift out into Chicago from there to mint properties.
Rather than having like a train station.
Right.
Yeah. I'm wondering, I realized when I got there that I have like 2 cents. So I'm thinking I may want to fly back to New York or San Francisco to pick up more to get, I don't know.
It depends on the cost. I mean, you know, you got to look at it and see, but it's what did that be? 4,800 up? The price.
Well,
tickets
it was
are
only
going up,
700 to get from Manhattan to Chicago, I think.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I didn't even look at it. I flew there last night and I was half awake and didn't pay attention. Or not last night, today. And I was like, I don't even know. I'm just going to hit send. Anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think especially it's only 700 right now. I would go load up as many send as you can.
Yeah.
Because I mean, they're going to be really hard to get because, you know, they only put those on properties that are minted, and it's going to be a while before any of that stuff has gone through.
Yeah, they're probably not going to be mapped on UpX World yet either. So you
right.
can find them.
I mean, you've been part of other launches. The sends most of the time don't work. I mean, I've gotten to where I just don't even bother going to them. It's like, why? I'm going to get there. I'm going to use a send. I'm going to click on it, and it's going to nothing happen except I wasted a send.
Yeah.
So,
That's true.
I loaded up with my 11 and I used 1 to send to the airport, and I've got 10 left, and I'm going to try to be as judicious with those as I can.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah, that's really good advice because oftentimes I also notice that when you push on or click on the Find My Send button, it just won't show it.
Yep.
So that's really good advice. So for everyone, make sure that you have like 10 cents before you go to Chicago. That's good advice.
Yeah. The other thing too is, I don't know if you guys know this, but you can go into, just to make yourselves a little faster, go into your settings in your browser or on the thing and turn off, 3D structures and the high resolution and the celebrations and basically everything you can except for like FSA and whatever the market markers. I mean, I even shut off lately. I haven't really been getting anything mint wise lately, so I don't know if this helps or not, but I've been shutting off the other block explorers too. Just anything else, just to kind of streamline things and make it a little bit faster to give yourself a little bit more of an edge if possible.
I shut off my block explorers, I think, on the Oakland release, and everything started turning blue around me, and I was so confused.
Yeah, it's a debatable. I mean, I find that I'm already so frustrated clicking on properties that it's like, well, whatever. But I think initially it's going to be a little bit wild in Chicago, but I mean, because just the size of it is so massive in comparison to anything Upland's done yet. I mean, I said it earlier. 50% of Chicago is what, 5 times the size of San Francisco. So
San Francisco, Manhattan, and Brooklyn combined, I think.
Yeah, I mean, Chicago's the same as Manhattan, Brooklyn, and San Francisco combined. Yeah. I mean, it's insanely huge. And so, I mean, I think we're going to have this mad rush initially, but I would say don't get bent out of shape once we start getting out. I mean, they're only opening 5,000 properties. I can't imagine they're all going to be right by that house that whatever the property is they give away. They're probably going to be out spread around, and people are going to be trying to get them.
Yeah.
But again, I'm biggest release I've been a part of was Oakland, or I mean, I guess you could count the third release of San Francisco, or the last whatever. I mean, Oakland bombed initially.
It's awful.
So the guys who really could probably give you good pointers on that are, I mean, I don't know. I don't see them here, so I don't.
No.
Yeah.
I would say have fun with it. That's what I'm trying to say. It's going to be a good time. It's going to be a mess, and just enjoy it. Grab what you can.
It really depends on where you end up. I mean, where your block explorer is at the time of release, and it's like you get one, so you have one place to go to, I guess, right away, and then try.
I mean, I had a lot of fun in Staten Island when the first release went there. I mean, that was a blast. I minted my tail real quick, behind me. And then I minted in front of me, and I sent to it, minted in front of me, and sent to it. And I did this giant loop, got like 170 properties in a big loop all the way around Staten Island. And everybody's talking about how horrible it was. I'm like, wasn't horrible. I just wish I'd had more money. I was having a blast. So
yeah, I remember that
kind of-
screenshot you sent out. You're like, show me yours. You got, there's like blue dots everywhere. It's like,
and it was fun. So I'm hoping in the back of my mind, I'm hoping that this is what this is like, right? But we'll see. I'd be curious to see who anybody here has been looking at Chicago, what they think is going to be good properties.
yeah, I mean, I've got like maybe 30 properties. I'm trying to get like old buildings I used to live in, where my parents lived, where that kind of, I mean, stuff like that. That means something to me. Oh, like
Sure.
my employer's building. I want to buy my brother's building so I can hold that over him. This stuff like that. But otherwise, you mentioned Frank Lloyd Wright and the neighborhoods, Clark Street. I really like Clark Street because it's a good street. I mean, just in real life, it's a good one. And Western Avenue. But and then when in those neighborhoods, try and mint the major streets. When you're going into a neighborhood, just in case one of those major streets ends up being, one of those street collections. But yeah, 1060 West Addison, here I come.
Another thing I was thinking, and I haven't looked again. I mean, I've looked a little bit, but one thing I was thinking is try to find a smaller neighborhood. If we want to try to eventually create a node, then it's a lot easier to to just sell it out and then start building eventually.
Yeah.
I like Ukrainian Village.
You like where?
Yeah, and
Where did you say?
what's that?
Where did you say?
Ukrainian Village.
Yeah.
It's just north of the United Center. And East Village is right next to it too, but I know Ukrainian Village a little bit better. Plus, it's got Western and Chicago Avenue that go through it. Although Chicago Avenue on the south side might be it might only be the north side of Chicago Avenue because I think that's the cutoff. But anyway,
Cool.
Yeah, it's gonna be crazy.
I just want Pier 51, and then after that, you guys can have everything else.
Yeah, I want Wrigley Field, so I'll
Okay. Well,
we'll switch.
I gave up on that dream because it's been a nightmare the last 2 weeks. So I had to be like, I'm going to let go of that because I'm going to be so upset if I don't get it. But yeah, I've been a sad Cubs fan my whole life. So yeah. Anyway, the other thing, museums. That's the other thing I'm trying to think of that Chicago's really known for is their museums. I'm trying to think, what else was there?
The firehouses. There's a lot. Yeah. There's a lot of historic landmarks. I mean, the landmark list that the city puts out is huge. It's massive. Right. Yeah.
Who puts that out?
The city of Chicago has
their
own landmark list.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
And I'll repost the link. I had posted a link for that and for there's a historical society review of Chicago where you can look at all the things that are culturally significant or landmark significant or otherwise, and you can sort it all kinds of different ways. And I had posted that link on here earlier, but I'll repost that. I think that was probably a couple days ago.
One thing I was thinking,
those are good ways to read. I just, I'm curious.
They haven't done hotels, and there's a lot of famous hotels there. Palmer House, Conrad Hilton, Allerton, the Drake, Waldorf. I mean, there's a lot of hotels there. It's really weird that Michigan Avenue is a street, but its own neighborhood, and so. Like if you look
at the map?
What's that?
Did you look at the map, how they have it broken down?
Yeah, it's really odd, right? So if you got something on the Magnuson Mile, like North Michigan Avenue, you know, in any other case, if that's a collection in Streeterville is a collection, you would get both, right?
Yeah.
But so I guess you would only get Michigan collection if outside of Streeterville. It's strange. I don't know.
Yeah, I think they're going to do Michigan Ave, but or they're going to do Magnificent Mile rather. I don't think it's there might be Michigan Avenue, which is the whole of Michigan Avenue, and then there's the Magnificent Mile, which is going to be that. And I think that's why that box is separate. Although Land Grid does the same thing, and they just copy Land Grid's breakdown. So, but my guess, honestly, I mean, I'm hoping that those turn green. They're going to be high dollar.
Yeah.
Either
There's
way,
also nothing. There's also nothing near that magnificent mile, right? There are no properties really close to that street.
No, they're all high rises.
South Michigan.
What about waterfront, lakefront properties?
Yeah, I mean, I think Lakeshore Drive is a very good contender. And I mean, again, South Michigan Avenue would be, you know, that's in front of Millennium Park, Grant Park. You know, those are all essentially waterfront. But you know,
most of the waterfront in Chicago is going to be city owned, and I don't expect them to release it because if you look at it, all the other cities, they haven't released the stuff except for maybe on like down by the piers. I mean, that's.
What about along the interior? What's the river that goes through Chicago?
Yeah.
What's is
River.
that? Is
I mean,
that
they're
they're all privately owned, right?
What's that street
Yeah.
runs along there? I can't remember. It starts with P. doesn't it?
Whacker.
Huh?
I mean, Whacker.
Whacker. That's right. Okay. I was just saying, I know how to drive all over Chicago, and I couldn't hardly tell you half the names of the roads there. I just go where I'm going. Been going there since I was like 2, my first baseball game. Yeah, I don't know. I just, the hard part again is just knowing how they're going to break up these properties, because what we saw in Fresno, we saw in Bakersfield was that they took pieces that would typically be one property and they chopped them up into FSAs. And so like
do that, right? There's plenty of properties. I mean, you know,
I don't think they need to do that in Chicago. So I think, so what that means is I think we're going to see a lot of big properties.
Yeah.
But again, I wasn't there for Manhattan, so it's really hard for me to give an exact, this is what they've done before.
Yeah, there's also a theater district in like the Loop that is not very well known, but like it's because it's not really official per se. But I also think inside the Loop, like the Loop as defined by the CTA, you know, which would be like Van Buren to Lake and then Wabash to Washington.
Yeah.
Would, you know, it's possible it could be, you know, another, you know, but I mean, it could be that's inside the neighborhood of the Loop too, though. So I don't know, but
I think theaters is another good one. I forgot about that, but I wrote that down on my list when I was looking at too, because there's a lot of amazing historical theaters that are very well known all over Chicago. Like performing arts style theaters. I don't know. And that was an ultra rare collection, what, in Manhattan, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Go back and look.
Yeah.
I don't really have many collections in Manhattan, so I'm not really sure. But
I doubt they do libraries again. I mean, there's, you know, Harold Washington Libraries. You know, that's definitely probably a landmark on that list. I don't know for sure, but it's a famous building.
Mm-hmm.
I can't see. I mean, they've done libraries now twice. Can't see them doing it again, but
yeah, I don't. There's the only libraries that are special in Chicago would really fall under the category of like architects and or whatever you want to call it, iconic Chicago buildings is what I think they're going to do.
Yeah.
Hey, Amy's husband, what's your name in the game?
Nemo Ryan.
Nemo Ryan. Okay.
All right.
We gotta jump, guys, but thanks.
Yeah,
good stuff.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Okay. Well, I don't know that we're going to get an official chancellor or anybody here. So most of
I
you
thought
are
he had
breaking
sent a
out. I
message
think
and said he wasn't going to make it.
Okay.
yesterday. That was my impression, but I mean, I'd sent him a message earlier today to see what was up and hadn't heard from him, but I knew he had some stuff going on with work, so I wasn't sure what the deal was there.
Yeah.
All
Okay.
right.
Well, this has been great information for me anyway, not stuff I was familiar with. So this will be helpful. I think my situation will be I'll run out of funds far before I run out of targets.
But I mean, I know I got a line of about 4 or 5 guys that whatever. I mean, if anybody wants to jump on there and start grabbing, I mean, Jackie, you've been doing that already. I mean, others have been too, but grabbing at least the rares and the exclusive collections from me to attempt to swap them out. I mean, it'll get you some. I mean, it depends on how many collections you've got already, but yeah, I mean, the max is about 300,000, but that's if you got nothing and you got a couple hours to.
Yeah, it takes a while. But I'm up like almost 80K just today doing it. So
oh wow, yeah. Aren't you tired? Near Morian of all the
I am,
swaps?
but I mean, it's if the way I set it up, really most of the work is on the other guys, and I just hit accept.
Yeah.
So I mean, I was doing it. I've had 5 people today burn through the list. So, I mean, and then I was up really late last night with a couple others. So, to me, it's. I mean, I joke about it. My goal is to have enough collections to do 1 million upics to anybody who's in the UDUA who makes it to pro. You hit pro, I'll set up an afternoon with you and we'll go through all the collections, and then you go to director and then you got 1 million sitting there to spend. I'm not quite there yet. I got a lot of collections that I'm close to full, but not quite. But it's free money for the group. You know, I mean, it gives us a lot better potential
to director today. Yeah. So I got to go out. Maybe I should fly back to San Francisco and get my block explorer at the same time I get my sense.
Yeah, it wouldn't be a bad idea.
No.
Just, I mean, all you gotta do is register it, have a picture, and create a story around it. So they want you to sit, you know, tell a story about your explorer. So, and then you kind of do all that. It's a pretty quick little form you fill out, and then do that, and apply while you're there. Apply for fiat out.
Yeah, I actually have already done that, but
have you?
Oh, I wanted to check out the city hall or whatever when I was there, and so I could do it. I mean, it allowed me to do it, even though you know I don't even know when I did it, but yeah, I might as well get on the waiting list, right? I don't know.
I barely squeaked through on the fiat out last time, and I if I'd had to go back and plan it out, I wouldn't have. I still can't believe I got it, but they said it was just because I randomly like, oh, I'll fill this in while I'm here applying for my block explorer. I had no clue what I was doing.
You do.
What's that?
You do.
Yeah, I do.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Nice.
Yep. Got it on that last bit. I mean, it was, you had to hit executive, have been playing executive for a month and have done all these other things. And I had done all the other things kind of randomly without really trying. And I had been executive for like 5 days.
Oh.
Wow.
And if you were still director, you had to been playing for like 6 months. So, you know, they shortened the time frame for executive. And it's like, I'd been doing it for, I think it was 5-6 days past at that point, and barely past it. And I still can't believe they put me in the list, but and I think it's going to get harder and harder to get it. From what I understand is they're going to do a pool. Everybody who's eligible for it, and then they'll pull. I mean, last I heard, they had said they were going to do 50 every 3 months or something to that effect until it becomes for everybody.
Yeah.
But you're going to have more and more people applying for it. And so
have you done anything
right away?
Like with your, have you had a transaction, a fiat out transaction?
No, I haven't even tried. I probably should, because I'm part of the beta testing of it, but I've just been like, right now I don't.
Well, you got to set up an account, right? And then verify your identity and all that kind of stuff.
That's all done. I did all that.
Okay,
I just, I haven't, I'm like, the most I've done is a couple sales, and I'm a chicken when it comes to that now because of all the terms of service stuff. But where somebody's like, "Hey, pay me half wax and
you know,
pay me 20% over mint," and I'm like, okay, and I've done that. I mean, I even bought a guy's collection out. I've got his passwords and everything. It's just sitting there. I'm not doing anything with it because I'm like, I don't want to get in trouble with this one. It's collecting dividends, and that's all it's doing. And I put some of the properties up for sale, but I'm like, if I do that, then there's really no way to transfer the UPIX at all. So that was early on, and oops, whatever. It's not a loss, but I'm waiting for them to clearly define the terms of service first before I get myself in trouble.
Yeah. Wait, someone's checked the terms of service on these collection swaps, right? Because
yes, we
okay.
have specifically asked the developers if it's allowed, and they have said there's no problem whatsoever.
All right, well, that's good.
The key is, from what I understand, again, there's other guys you could probably ask who might give a better answer on this, but from what I understand, the key is to land back at the same spot at the end, so it doesn't look like you're doing any fishy trades value-wise for properties. That's from what I understand, and I don't know that did not come from the statement. From what I understand from the developers, that's just been what I've been told is good practice.
Yeah.
So that if you're looked at, people can't be like, you traded a 1,000 UPIX property for a 2 million UPIX property.
Yeah.
And so that's why when I do them, I try to tell people, just trade me whatever properties. I don't care. But then that's at the end, that's what you're back with those, and I've got all mine.
Yeah.
Can you perhaps give me some advice about investing in node cities? I mean, I've been playing this for 2 months, and finally I'm able to, spend like 870K UPEX on it. But how should I divide that? I mean, I really believe in the node thing and the long-term strategy thing. Should it be like 50-50, or what do you guys recommend?
If I were you, I would try to get 10 to 15 properties if you can, regardless of size, in the nodes. Okay. Whatever nodes there are. And I mean, these ones are so huge. Chicago, I mean, am I allowed to say what the one is? I don't even know if they've announced it yet, what the UDU one is.
I don't think it's been announced
UDU
yet.
is going after one. It's kind of obvious, I think, but whatever. Anyway, so I'm not going to say what it is because I don't want to get in trouble. I'm pretty sure I can, but I haven't checked. And then Little Italy is the other one. So if it was me, I would go after those two. And I mean, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put 500,000 UPIX myself, and I have funded another 500,000 between either FSA players or people I'm looking at to possibly be in the UDUA. So I've got 1 million UPIX that is dedicated exclusively to the 2 nodes, and that's it. My goal was to have another 1 million UPIX to hit Chicago with, and that's just not going to happen. I might have 200,000 or 300,000. It depends. I'm trying to get everybody paid that I can. Had a lot of money coming in, and long and short, the Feds shut down my bank account because the wire transfer was too big. So we had to cancel that transaction, and now the guy's sending it to me in small pieces, but it's going to take several days to get it. So all that to say, right now I'm trying to pay everybody and go from there. But I would get 10 properties. I mean, I'm saying that arbitrarily in the nodes. Yeah. If you have too many questions about Chicago and you really don't know where to go, rather than get frustrated in Chicago, I would go everything into the nodes. To me, that's makes the most sense. Because if the nodes work like they're being told it is, those are going to become collections. I mean, the estimate for value of our node properties that we minted at 3,000 to 8,000 UPIX in Oakland is $1 million in a year and a half.
Yeah.
So the property development aspect of it increases the value. I mean, we have the necessity of vehicles coming very shortly to where you're going to need cars. If you're going to do events in a city, you're going to need to have an address in that city, whether it's your residence or a place you rent. And so there's a lot of things that are coming, maybe 6 months, maybe sooner, probably later, but anyway, that are coming down the road. And so working together to develop a node, to me, makes the most sense, because then those will become centers of transportation and events. not to mention collections.
Yeah.
I gotta jump off, guys.
All right, man. See you.
Conversation. Talk to you later.
Yeah, so therefore I thought like 50-50, because then I still have some possibility to boost my short-term UPEX. So for instance, when Cleveland is open, I can also invest in nodes there, because I don't want to spend all my money in the nodes. I really like the idea. I also believe that it will, from a long-term perspective, it will be more valuable to invest in those kind of cities, but there's always a trade-off, because I still want to have some nice liquidity to invest in Cleveland or the other city. So that's a trade-off. I think I will spend like 50-50. I mean, then I can definitely still buy 10 or so.
And I don't know what cash flow is for you guys, right? So if I might be completely wrong here, but looking at the amount of money that's in Upland right now, right? It is limited in comparison to what it was. And again, people will fiat in a bunch in the next day or two, right? So that will change that at some level, but it's a lot lower than it was, say, for San Francisco's drop, or even for Oakland's. And so we have 10 times the properties of San Francisco, and right now we have about 2/3 the UPEX. So I think you're going to have time, and maybe I'm wrong on this, so don't use it as good a business advice, but in my mind, you're going to have time to get into the nodes and develop, or to buy. The thing is whether or not people catch on that that's what we're doing and try to cut us off. Yeah. So that's the trade-off there, right? I mean, we had that happen a little bit in Oakland. And so I think you got a debatable. If you know you're going to have more money to put in there in the next few days, then I would say make a try for the properties that you think might be collection properties, right? Yeah. Try for those. And when you don't get them, jump over to the node, or, I should say when you don't, but if you don't, or when you're done trying, jump into the nodes and then just go hog wild with whatever's left. Yeah. That is the rationale, the advice I'm giving to a lot of players who aren't quite where I would consider. I mean, I'm ready to sign them off into the UDUA yet, but they're not quite there yet. And so, I mean, but that's trying to give them good advice. I trust them enough to say, this is where we're buying. Yeah. I want to see them get me a couple more properties back that I've paid them to buy first before I sign that ticket. But anyway, so that's kind of how I would say approach it, is go after the stuff you think is going to be collections. Get what you can. You probably won't get much. And then drop into the nodes and spend whatever you can. And I would probably pick one and just buy everything you can in there until it's all bought, and then jump over to the other. The UDU node is about half the size, property-wise, number-wise, as Little Italy is. So I would say probably start in the UDU node and then jump to Little Italy. But that also might be backwards thinking. I've asked that question of Ben and of T. Davis, and I haven't heard back from either of them yet, whether it makes more sense to go at Little Italy first because it's larger, or to go the other way around. I debate that one back and forth. But the questionable to me is, just there's not, I mean, unless crypto does something crazy the next day. If you see something shoot through the roof, then people are going to be spending like nuts. Yeah. But with it still being kind of hiccupy and weird, I think spending is going to be a little bit lower. I mean, and I think that's seen when you can go all over Upland right now and buy properties for 120% markup. Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, everybody's trying to boost. Yeah. They're stepping all over Bakersfield for 103%, 105%. I'm like, you're losing money then at that point, selling the property for that price. Yeah. So people are trying to bring in cash in other ways, and those properties are sitting there for 4 or 5 days. And so that tells you that, as well, that people aren't spending money, they're holding for Chicago, but fiat in levels, at least last I looked, weren't that high. So, I'm curious to see what they do in the morning. If people just
Yeah.
cash in a whole bunch in the morning and be like, hello.
There we go.
Or if they stay somewhat the same, I don't know. I'll be bringing in probably another 500 US in the morning.
Oh, wow.
We'll see.
All right. Well, that sounds like a great strategy and some really helpful tips.
Yeah.
I think we should probably try to wrap this meeting up now. And just appreciate you guys and all you're doing, and go UDU.
Woohoo. Sounds good. If you guys got any other questions or want anything else, let me know. Shoot me some messages. I'll be up late tonight trying to get the guys to do some other things. So
Thanks, Nima Ryan.
Yeah,
hey,
thanks.
thanks for hosting this, man. Appreciate it a bunch.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
Bye.
Y'all have a good one.